What's going on, everybody? So today I'm gonna show you the #1 way that rats get into homes, into the attic specifically, and how to fix it. So the #1 spot that rats get into homes is a spot called a roof return, and it's a spot like this where shingles meet the soffit. You can see that gap up there. You can even see this gap, and you see the feces on the shingles leading up to it. So that's how rats get in. They climb up the downspout, they get on the roof, and they climb underneath that gap in the soffit. So now we talk about how to fix it. We have to close that gap, and we do that with sheet metal. So I have some pre-cut pieces. The size that I generally like to use that fits most applications is going to be 24 inches by 7 inches. That's the size I have pre-cut here. Most roof returns I can comfortably close with a piece that size, with some trimming and making it fit. So that's what I've got here. I'm going to go ahead and go up and start making this fit and cover it. Okay, so our next step is to decide where we want it. And in this situation, I want to line it up about right here. So this is about where I want it. So what I'll do now is I have to measure how wide it is and start making some marks on my sheet metal. Alright, so I'm using my framing square, and I know that I need it to be right around 12¼ inches wide. And yeah, so I'll do that first. So I always add an inch to the other end to mount flush to the wall. So I'll mark 13¼ here. This is where my bend needs to be. And then here at the other side, I'll mark about an inch so I know where my folds are going to be. Alright, so you can see my marks. Now I'm going to bend it. So this flat edge was going to go flat against the wall, and we can secure that with screws and Tapcons if we need to. This is what's going to go along the fascia board, and this is going to go between the soffit and the shingles, and I'll show you kind of how we cut that and size it up here. So with it kind of loosely put up in position, you can get an idea of where we're going with this, but I'm going to cut it shorter and bend it out so I can mount it flat against the soffit, and I'm going to cut notches here at the bottom so we can bend a flat edge to rest against the shingle, and I'll show you how that works. So a challenge that we're going to run into here is that the soffit isn't mounted level, which is really annoying, but it's no problem for us to work around that. So you can see in the top left corner, I've also mounted or noted where the fascia board is, so I know where to make that cut. I'm also going to make the cuts to make the flange at the bottom and the top right now. So you can see now some of the bends and cuts that I have made. I don't cut anything off, I always bend it back. That way if I made it too short, all I gotta do is unfold it and adjust it. So at this point, none of the work that I've done is not reversible, and that's done by design. So before, when I've started pushing it in, it's like kinking up on me, like it's like I didn't make this cut wide enough, so I'm gonna address that now. So everything's actually starting to go really nicely. Now I need to cut some of this side piece off or bend it down so that I can stick it further back so there's not any gap against the fascia board. Okay, so I've got it mounted where I want it. The next thing to do is to get this side piece flush down with the bottom and put a screw in. Okay, so I got a screw into that. You see there's some tiny gaps here, but those are really small, nothing a rodent could get through. So that's really good. Now we'll work on this top piece and securing it in and making it look decent. I'm about to do it. I'll need my other hand for that, but you guys get the idea. So that's now in. Now we'll just work on making that flush and mounting it directly to the soffit. Otherwise, that went really well. Good job, everybody. So I got that mounted up, and that is tight. There's wire mesh behind it. Nothing can happen there. But it lifted my bottom lip up a little bit, and I want to pull the soffit down. So I am going to put a roof screw through the bottom of that lip to keep it mounted flush against the roof. And it's okay because it's way up under this eave. It's not going to cause any potential water issues. Alright, so I got a roof screw in there, so now it's flushly mounted against all surfaces, and you can see these gaps are small and tiny, not big enough for a rodent to get in. So this isn't really a very pretty one. Probably could have showed you an easier one to do, but you can see it's way up under this weird roof return eave type situation. So kind of hard to get to, and you can't see it from the ground, so I'm not worried about it being particularly attractive. Just want to make sure that it's secure for wildlife. But that, in a nutshell, is how we keep rats from entering the attic space. And also, when you do this, make sure you go all the way back, because as you see, I do have some gaps behind it that need to be covered, but that's just one straight piece of sheet metal. Super simple. So that's how we do it.